Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Path of Exile. My name is Wilfred, and this special episode is on the external resources that help you started in this game, in this journey. I'm rather new to this game and I'm seeing it from the new player perspective. And some of you ask me, where do I get some of these tools from, where to start and so on. So I'd like to share my experience with you. This game is very deep and requires a lot of creativity. And also, it's kind of challenging as well, depending on where you start and how you approach the game. So, the first thing first is I launch a game through Steam because with that, I don't need to key in my user ID and password to go into the game. A lot easier, streamlined, click login, and that's it. But I think you could also launch it from the Path of Exile kind of like launcher as well. Either way, it's fine. I try both ways, but I prefer the Steam version. Also for me to keep in touch with my friends in Steam. Now, Path of Exile has a lot of flexibility when you come to play in this game. So when you're new, you probably don't know what is happening. You don't know what are the available builds or ideas out there. But you may have some ideas from your past experience playing action role-playing games. So with that in mind, then you probably have some vision, like I would like to be a so-and-so, I would like to be a melee, I would like to be a summoner, or I'd like to be a caster, a bow player, damage over time kind of like, curse kind of player. So there's a lot of other games that already have that kind of concept. If you play the games like Diablo in the past, it will help because, that will give you some idea of what to expect. But if you're really, really brand new, then of course you need to probably just try it out and just have fun with it and see what make you play this game. All right. So the first thing first is that I've used a skill planner. Some of you ask me, where do I download these tools and how do I do it and stuff like that. So now in Path of Exile, like I always say, it's a lot of flexibility. The only thing that you really need to think about is what class you start with and also your passive tree. The passive tree is something here. It could look really kind of like overwhelming because these are the major classes that you start from. So I'm a duelist, so I start here. I've also played a Scion that I start here, somewhere here. If you play a Witch, I believe it starts somewhere here, and the other two classes on this side, and the other four classes is this side. So so this tree is available to all classes. It doesn't really matter too much where you start from, provided that you want to you don't really care about efficiency. But in order to pick up some kind of notes around it and make your build unique, you probably have some advantage if you start at the right kind of area to start with, which is the class itself. So I'll talk a little bit about that, and also it is important to plan ahead how you path your character, because that is one that defines your character. If you make some mistake, you can still have refund points to kind of wipe some mistake, but it's for you to correct mistake or change a minor part of the build, not to substantially revamp the whole build. If you like to do that, either you either become very rich and buy a lot of orbs of regret to sort of wipe all these points away to rebuild the character, or B, you reroll another character that define the character using a tree that you have envisaged to be. Of course, C is that every couple of months when there's a major update, and there will be, there has always been, then the whole tree will be reset for all the characters you have. So there are a couple of ways to approach this, so I thought I'd let you know on that. Now, how do you plan about all this? I come from a background whereby I like some tools for me to kind of work my way through to plan where the nodes are before even playing this game. So you can do it either through the official website in Path of Exile, or a tool that I'm using, like for this one here. I've planned out one for Ice Crusher Slayer for one of the variation, or the other one is here that I can I can load it as well. So you can save various kind of build. You can feel free to experiment and check some notes, or delete some. You delete some notes, stuff like that. So you can at least mitigate the kind of a regret that you may have, provided that you know about this game. Because if you really don't know what's happening, then the right way for me is, my advice to you is just experience it. pick something that you think that it is right, and just experience it for a couple of hours. Then after that, you may want to research on what you really want, and then do a character with the right kind of trees that you get. Now, how do you know? I mean, where do I download this thing from? Because this thing seems really useful. Then you can download from there are a couple of websites. You Google PAE skill tree in one word. Then Google will give you the first result here. Then it give you all the where to download and stuff like that. You can download it, install it, and that's yours. It's free of charge, so you can start planning your tree like I do. Just to go back to the point whereby then where can I find out what kind of build or what kind of trees that people have been using is a proven kind of like configuration. It is one thing about experiencing yourself, and then after that, but you must be prepared to face the fact that whatever that you come up with yourself may hit a brick somewhere, may hit a wall somewhere. You cannot get through certain content because your build just not efficient enough to get through it. So you must prepare for the mindset. Don't get sad about it. It's more about experiencing and having fun. I think that is the most important thing. I did it for my first league, more or less. I just did my own thing. I went rather okay, but at the end, I think it's better to stick to some of the build that other people have already come up with, and after that you could make minor adjustment here and there, and even create your own build in times to come. But that comes with experience, and that's why a game like this is great, because it is rather easy to start with if you sort of like refer to other people's work, and after that you can just create your own in a sense, see whether it works or not. All right, so now to do that, to know which build to use and so on, I started off with the Path of Exile website, but you could also start with the Reddit as well. Reddit have some good resources. I was told that you could actually post some questions there, and people do help you over there. I'm not really a heavy Reddit user myself, but I do find some really nice guides on mathematical modeling within Reddit that is really worth kind of reading. But there's a lot of casual discussion as well in a sense. So I wouldn't say start with Reddit, but if you happen to Google a certain build or certain guide and it points to Reddit, usually that's pretty good. So now I usually start with the forum here. By the way, there are things like under game there are passive tree that if you like to learn a little bit more, plan your own within the website, you can. If you don't like to download another software like the PoE skill tree, you could too. You can do it yourself here. Then you can take a look at the ascendancy classes as well, because every class that you have will specialize into 3 extra subclasses, so that will further enhance the way that you approach the game. But I'll start with the forum here because I kind of like the way the forum work, and I'll start with the kind of like a build. There's one that's on build, so this part of the forum is all on build. So you may have some like class in mind, I think, which is probably one of the most popular one, because it is a lot easier to relate to a caster, and which is a caster, the pure caster. You can actually see I think this is the page view or whatever it is, the highest as well. I think which is probably the most popular one, and Scion is a true hybrid of 3 classes that require a lot of like a skill to understand where the game is for a true hybrid of 3 different areas. So I mean, you can start with the witch, and under witch you can see all these like various kind of build and so on. Some of them prefix as 2.6. Right now we are at the Legacy League, which is 2.6. 2.5 is the one before, which is the British League and so on. 2.4 is the Essence string, Essence League and so on. So you could take a look at some of these things and see whether you can relate the playstyle or not. If you are new, couple of things that you probably want to look into is whether it's a budget build, because some of this build require you a lot of like good gear to make it work. As a new player, you may not have the luxury to know all the game mechanic and to sort of like get all the good gear and so on. So my strong advice is to start with something that's, say, for starters, or also something that's budgeted, easy to play. Watch some of the video clip and see whether you enjoy the car play style or not. So that would be my advice to you. Last but not the least though, something I learned over this league is that if you follow some really popular YouTuber, even even though it is a starter league and things are cheap to budget to build. But because of the popularity, everybody wants to play that build. It becomes like a high demand. All the items become super expensive, and at the end it may not be budget anymore. So it's something to think about. Whether you want to follow the most popular one, or something that of last season but still work. Something that budgeted, something that is easy to pick up, easy to play, and so on. But it doesn't mean that you have to do it that way. You could still play something that you find you can relate to, because I think at the end of the day, it's about having fun. So these are the things that I advise to you. What other resources that you would need to sort of like get started with the game? I think another one is about the recipe system. The game of Path of Exile, Gamepedia kind of thing. It's a Wikipedia kind of thing. Give you a lot of resource on things like, for example, it helps a lot to me on knowing what can be sold to vendor and become like a certain kind of item and so on. So do check out some of these resources. There's a lot of really good information here to, you probably don't need to learn all these things right at the start, but eventually you'll need to sort of like know what can be sold for what. To give you the kind of advantage on self-crafting and stuff like that. So for example, you can craft some of these things into like one of the crafting material and so on. So these are the things that like for example, you can craft certain items or so on and so forth, flasks and so on. So do check out some of these resources that will help you start the way. And there are actually a lot of other pages as well. It just happened that vendor recipe system is something that I use it very, very a lot. It's kind of thing. What about the filter? Because if you look at my game or my gameplay video, there are a lot of nice some loop job that has bigger names than the others to draw my attention to. Hey, you want to check out whether you want to loot the item or not. There is something called the loot filter. Now, loot filter is like additional add-on. Now, there are many add-ons in this game, I think, but there are some that require that would help you to set some kind of loot like this one. All these things become stand out. There's a lot of discussion of which is best or not. I think I'd rather not go into the discussion on what I advise you to use. It's just that I've been advised to use the never sync loot filter, and I find it rather useful. And I've been using it for the third season or third league, so far. There are other like one filter to root them all and stuff like that as well, which I believe is equally good, if not better, in some scenario and so on. So do start with one first. You can always try others as you go along, and more confidence in what you're doing. But what it essentially does is that it helps you to quickly look at the loots that you want, click on those things, and it gives you kind of a sound effect that is rather nice as well. Then there are instructions on where you can use it, but how to enable it in the game. So after you install it, which is merely extracting the file into a specific folder in your game directory, then after you've done it, then you can enable it through the game filter here. There's a kind of like UI option. Under UI, there's a filter here. List of item filter. So you could I'm using a regular one, but if once you get more proficient, you can use a strict one, or different kind of strict, very strict, and umber strict to high even more in kind of like loot, only focusing on those that require at the end game and so on. So this is more for a leveling kind of filter. So I find it rather useful. It's been proven in some sense. Is it best or not? Best is always relative. So I use it. I'm fine with it. No other complaint to it. All right. So now the last thing is about the trading. This game I think requires to do a little bit of trading. So trading, it could means that you need to sort of know what people are advertising and what you can buy from them, and or you want to advertise your good and sell as well. Now, I find that you can either forget about all these things and you just want to just find every gear, craft every gear you want. You can do it, especially if you're an experienced player, but I find it a little bit hard, really, really hard if you don't do any trading at all to get the gear you want. So, if you don't want to spend too much time selling your thing, which I really find it a pain, because one of the reasons why I dropped the Diablo 3 initial kind of launch is because of the auction house. I find myself camping at the auction house more than I play the game, because I need to sell my item in order to get gold so as to buy items. In Path of Exile so far, it still seems rather okay. You can farm the currency that you want. and because there's no gold in this game, so everything is just orbs, the orbs that you collect, and there's also a limited number of it's not like gold that you can keep. How should I say? It's not like you can just inflate the whole economy in some sense and make a lot of money from there, which I think in Path of Exile you could too as well, but to a certain extent things are very discrete or kind of digital in a sense. One orb is one orb. You can't have 1.2 orbs kind of thing. Although I've seen someone post like that, but you get my idea. So there's the pricing there is more or less rather good, and you can come to poe.trade and look for things that you want. Now, the whole thing could be rather overwhelming, but usually what happens is that if there is a specific, I'm just clicking it, I hope there are some items that they have listed out here. So if there are some specific things thing that you want, say this one is called the Whisperer, Whispering Eyes Veil Staff. So you can come to here, you say that I want a Veil Staff, you can just click onto it and search for it. So they will tell you all the how much it costs, right? So this is the staff itself, and it costs 1 alchemy, which is rather alright as a gear that you can start. It's one of those gear that they advise you. And you can see all this pricing and stuff like that, all the stats here to pick which one you want. And if some of them is online, you can whisper them and do or PM them or so on and so forth to sort of start the trade kind of thing. Or you could some of them so this is rather cheap, but there are some that for example I'm guying on right now just because some it's become very popular because some YouTuber really kind of advertising it, and it become I think it started with the 50, 70, 80 kind of chaos, and it's really expensive. So these are the orbs, these are currency that you kind of use to buy your item. So I think in short, these are the external resources that would help you start the game, and I hope you found this kind of guide useful. You can always ask questions here. I'll try to incorporate your question in the next video if you have. I'm still very new, so pardon me if I make some very glaring mistake here or I miss out something really important. And I'm more happy to share more experience with you as a legacy league go by or as other leagues go by. All right, see you next time. Goodbye.